Welcome.
Hi guys, Todd here, and today I'll be showing you how to turn this Infinite AR from this to this. So over this entire time lapse I filmed about 6 hours of footage I believe, and I've condensed it down to the 18-minute mark. There's a lot of stuff to do to make this gun look realistic, so as you can see it's the basic Nerf colours right now. But over the video I'll show you how to turn it into a realistic, rusty, Battle 1 looking Infinite Assault rifle. I won't be talking through the whole video, I'll leave it giving that lo-fi time-lapse sort of vibe, but I will be narrating over the important parts to cover and mistakes not to make that I've done over the video and such. So to begin, start with, we're getting rid of the branding. Don't want the Nerf logo on the gun. I don't really want the Halo words on the gun or like the European safety information inside. I'm going to cut all that off, sand it down and make it look nice. I would actually recommend using the blade on its own, taking it out of the handle thing I have here and getting a new blade, because these ones are old and a bit blunt, so the life would be so much easier. As you can see, there's a couple of like indents where I've gone a bit too far with the knife, but that's fine because it's given that Battle 1 effect. So when I sand it down and spray paint over it, you'll see a couple of indents from the knife, but it'll look more realistic in Battle 1. When disassembling your assault rifle, make sure that you keep all the screws together. You don't want to lose them, of course, and make sure the wiring is intact. Try and keep it all safe. And the most important part is to remember how you disassemble the gun, the mechanics and the trigger inside. It helps if you're filming what you're doing, so you can go back and do the reverse when you're putting the gun back together, which I do later on. So feel free to slow this part down and look at how I take apart the gun for when you're doing that, and then when you're making the gun again after you painted it, to reassemble in the right order. Here I'm just putting down some frog tape to keep the wires safe when I spray paint. I don't want to break them or disconnect them somehow, so just a safety measure. So next I've grabbed my sandpaper and this sandpaper sponge. It's got two different sides of roughness, just to not be so harsh on the plastic, because the Nerf gun does have this plastic primer coating which makes it very hard for your spray paint to stick onto because it needs friction. So you need to sand the whole gun down to remove that plastic gloss layer to get a better adhesion later on. As you can see, the logo has completely disappeared, just what we want. Nice. I'm also sanding down the inside parts of the guns because I'm going to spray paint this barrel a different like metallic silver colour, and obviously the magazine and other accessories that are seen outside of the gun. Once all the parts of the gun are sanded down, I use some clean spirit just to clean down all the dust and the excess you sanded off the gun, so nothing's sticking to the surface, so when you're spray painting it's a lot better stick, you don't have any like excess on the gun. And now it's time for the spray painting. So I grabbed my plastic primer, which I brought from B&Q. You can buy it anywhere online pretty much. It's just a primer coating for plastics primarily, which gives that base layer, which would be a lot better for when the next step of using the gunmetal and the black spray paint, it will help stick to it a lot more. This will take a couple of layers. I did 2 because the orange is very vibrant and it will come through the first layer, same with the black. So go over the first layer, let it dry, and go over a second layer again. It's a very satisfying procedure, but I really recommend doing it on a not so windy day because half of my spray paint was just flying away. Now that the 2 primer coats are applied, I take my black spray paint and I spray all over the gun. Just like the primer, I'm using 2 coats of the black spray paint and 2 coats of the silver gunmetal spray paint for the barrel. After all the pieces are dried, I put them out on my table to have a look at them. There's a couple of battle damage from the wind, which unfortunately blew over the cardboard that the gun parts were on. But that's okay, we can make that work to our advantage by making the gun look more wore down. But yeah, it didn't take 1 day, it took about 2 or 3 days to completely dry for 2 coats of the primer and 2 coats of the black. You can see the damage here, but that's fine, we can make it work and make it look battle scarred and realistic, so no need to worry. And now I decide to two-tone the gun, so the top part I want a slightly lighter greyish gunmetal vibe, whilst the bottom one more matte black. So I use the frog tip to separate the different parts of the gun, and graphite powder to get my desired effect. Graphite powder is a great tool to use to get this gunmetal shiny vibe, but you want to apply it with cotton wool in a sort of circular motion, otherwise you'll get too much on and it won't look as natural. I also apply this to the ammo counter top part of the gun as well. Now the silver contrast you see here is greatly different from the final result. It's going to look a lot lighter and a lot shinier, because once you apply a clear coat, which is a protection based adhesive, it will dry darker. So bear that in mind, I'll show you that soon. Now I decide that I want the middle part of the gun a slight gunmetal colour as well. I don't want a completely matte black or shiny glossy black, so I'll apply the graphite powder to this compartment of the gun as well, but not as much as the first layer, because I want it to be different degrees of contrast. I'm now applying graphite powder to other parts of the gun, such as the barrel, which is going to look more battle worn and faded, and the cocking mechanism, just to differentiate. Once again, the places in part of the gun which you're going to be touching more in terms of a realistic context, you want more battle worn. With all the graphite powder applied, I use the crystal clear protection coat, which makes sure all the graphite sticks to the gun. It will make all the silver parts darker, unfortunately, but it means that if you touch a graphite powder, it won't come off, it will stay on the gun. So the YouTuber who inspired me to do this build actually is called 2penny Props, and he provides a free Illustrator file for the ammo counter in Halo Infinite. So normally in the old games it's like 32, and this Nerf gun comes with 10 because there's 10 Nerf darts in there. But realistically in the Infinite gameplay reveal, the ammo counter was 36. So this guy has made the realistic counter, which you can then print in your Cricut machine, whatever CAD device you have, color into the vinyl and then place it on the back end of the plastic, so you can swap between the 10 counter and the 36. I'll link the guy's channel in the description. I highly recommend checking it out and see what he does. So yeah, it's a great video. I went for a light blue vinyl because the dark blue didn't really seem that great to me, and the lighter blue gives that more reach vibe and really contrasts nicely with the black gun. You can see the waypoint finder there, and then the ammo counter itself. The numbers do cut out backwards in the Cricut machine, but luckily enough, like the 3 and the 6 are both numbers that can be reversed and still work. If it was like a 40, a 47, and you cut it out, it wouldn't reverse. But as you can turn the 3 and 6 around, luckily, it cuts out just fine. Look at the difference on that. Totally worth it. Now that we're done with the exterior for now, I might as well assemble the gun, see how it looks, and do some more battle worn damage. So, watching my previous recording back, I did the reverse of assembling the gun, or deassembling the gun. So I put the cocking mechanism, the safety all back in and the spring, but I realized putting the safety mechanism that actually fires the gun, when you spray paint it, there's too much friction, so it doesn't actually pull back and fire properly. So I recommend not painting that until the end, and it will save you so much hassle. So I have to sand that down, and there's still a lot of friction, doesn't fire properly or how I'd like it to, but then again, I'm designing this for the aesthetics and not for the practicality. Do yourself a massive favor and put in the batteries, well actually put in the slider correctly before you assemble the gun, because once both sides are placed together, you can't put this battery holder back in place. So I'd actually bend it in place, which I don't recommend. Luckily it didn't break, but definitely make sure that slider's in properly before you assemble the gun. It'll save you so much hassle. Alright, now that all pieces are screwed in together, I want to get some battle worn effects, highlight some areas with more graphite powder, and just give that like battle worn scratched vibe. So here I'm using a silver Sharpie, highlighting the edges of the gun, not too much, also colouring the screws to give that metal effect as well. And you really want to give like that war-torn vibe, but not go over the top, so less is more. You go crazy, but not too crazy. Here I realised I've got too much matte black on the gun, so differentiating for more graphite powder. Of course this means I need to use more clear protection to keep the graphite on the gun, otherwise every time I touch it it'll come off my hands or anything it touches. Once again, bear in mind it will dry darker than it is before you put on the clear coat. Of the gun, you can see part where I sanded the way is shown on the exterior. So to cover this, to get my silver Sharpie again, and I go over the parts that is exposed in orange, so it looks more battle worn and, you know, like the trigger's being used. I did find that the Sharpie, after about 20 minutes of colouring over the gun, the nib got very dry and I couldn't clean it. So I had to buy another one just to get that stark difference of the silver, which you might find happen to you too. It might be in the clear coat protection that, you know, made the nib really like damaged. But you might not have that problem at all. So just a heads up to get more than one silver Sharpie if you plan to use this technique. And more graphite powder, of course. Fire mode of the gun has different colours showing which one is on, if it's safety, automatic, single burst. So colour that bad boy in. And then I realised that the back of the gun actually was still exposed. Like the bit which I didn't think would be shown is shown, so I had to go over again into more black spray paint, let that dry, just to make the gun look complete. See, I'm making these mistakes so you don't have to. That's all I'm here for. Now the muzzle is probably the part of the gun that gets the most action, so it's going to be the most battle worn. The paint, scraping off, the heat, the fire. I really liked how this came out. It makes it a lot more realistic and just looks so satisfying, honestly. And there we have it. That is the Halo Infinite Assault Rifle complete. I didn't go with the coloured line at the front because I didn't really want to. I thought like it looked pretty complete as it was. So yeah, I'm just really happy how this came out. Looks amazing. Fairly cheap build as well. £50 for the gun. Maybe another 50 quid for the materials. £100 and you're set. Hope you guys enjoyed my little lockdown project. Had a lot of fun doing it and I hope you learned a couple of things from it too. Don't make the mistakes that I made. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.